Hello. Thank you for joining me today. I have a nice practice for you that we're going to do on our hands and knees today. So I have a blanket and we're going to need that blanket just to have some extra cushion underneath of our knees. You're welcome to just roll your mat underneath of knees if possible. There's also the option to, anytime we do things on our hands and knees, I always think extra padding is nice. So if you have an extra yoga mat, you can always put that underneath of your other yoga mat. And then we'll make our way just to our seated position. And I have my blanket folded. You can see here that I have my blanket folded, and I'm just going to bring myself onto my sits bones to the edge of that blanket so that I feel like my sits bones are nice and supported. It's just going to elevate my hips a little bit so that I can sit up a little taller with a little bit more ease. And I'll start to close my eyes and just kind of check in. So check in with your body. And just notice here how you feel. And perhaps what brought you here today to this video, to this practice. And taking a moment before we begin, just to be grateful that we did it. We got onto our mat today. Sometimes that's the hardest part, finding that time in your day to roll your yoga mat out and take time for you. So just a couple of more of these nice, easy breaths just to kind of start our practice with a clear mind. Maybe curling the corners of your mouth. And we'll start getting onto our hands and knees. So find your blanket and bring your blanket underneath of your knees. And what I recommend is you find so that you have a good surface area. So I'm going to kind of unfold mine a little bit here so that I have a good surface area on my mat. And then I'm going to take my blanket so that I have some space here for my feet here, but I have plenty of space for my arms ahead of me. And then I'll make my way to hands and knees. And to start our practice, we'll start in a child's pose or a puppy pose. So if you prefer downward facing dog, you're always welcome to start there. But I just thought we'd start off with something really gentle and really relaxing to begin. So I'll start first with cueing child's pose, just in case it's new to you. We start to kind of bring our toes a little bit closer together so they can be as close to touching. And then we bring our hips down towards our heels and then our forehead down to our mat. And you can widen your knees as much as you need to here to make space for you so that you can really breathe fully into your pose. And so some of you may be thinking, Mandy, I just can't quite get my forehead down to my mat. I can't quite get my hips down towards my heels. If you're doing good, stay where you are. Just breathe there. If you need a little bit more help, so maybe you need to lift your hips up a little bit more, kind of come down. So from our table, we come down more like elbows. And then we just bring our forehead to our mat and continue to allow our sits bones just to be raised. And you're going to be a little bit more on the top part of your forehead for this one, so that we can kind of keep our backs in this nice straight line, and we'll draw our belly muscles in slightly. So this pose here is just kind of an in-between pose. It's kind of between a puppy and a child's pose. And this one might just be your pose. Maybe you just aren't able to get all the way down today, or you just prefer this one. That's okay. Again, just really letting go here in this pose. Just really allowing our body to be heavy. Just allowing the weight
of your body just to be right here on your mat, that you're not holding on to anything. You're able to let go. Slowly start to inch our way up. So maybe hands come towards you, press into your hands, make your way back to just your table. If you widened your knees, go ahead and bring your knees back to hip width apart. So wrists right underneath of your shoulders, knees right out of your hips. And I'll start with a really gentle variation of cat-cow with you. So we'll start first by shining the light in the center of our chest forward. Kind of gaze is kind of subtly in front of you. So we're not trying to look at the wall or anything in front of us. We're just trying to take our gaze a little subtly forward. And then we'll slowly kind of relax our head and neck as we lower our hips down towards our heels. So they don't have to touch your heels at any time. So we inhale, we make our way up. When you're about to over your hands, that's when you shine that light in the center of your chest forward. So your head's just kind of following that motion. And we'll slowly start to bring our hips down towards our heels. So the chin can tuck here if you'd like. So you can kind of exaggerate these more as we move along. The inhale, we shift forward. Gaze shifts subtly forward in front of you. Again, kind of at a horizon here. So I'm kind of pointed, where my finger's pointed, that's kind of where I'm looking here. And on your exhale, we slowly shift back. And we just continue back and forth. So we inhale forward, and you start to get kind of a little groove here. So we start to find ourselves shining the heart forward, then hips lower down towards our heels. And we just continue back and forth, nice and gentle here. And we'll finish this one that we're working on. So when you finished, we'll make our way hips towards our heels, and we can find that child's pose again, or puppy. So forehead rests down, maybe knees widen a little bit, or maybe hips lift. Then we'll slowly inch our way back up, nice and slow. And we find from our table, this time, let's take so that we find our knees shift out. So we're going to shift our knees so that they're right at the edges of our mat. So they're still staying on our mat because we want to be on that nice cushioned surface here. And then our right hand comes right underneath of our face. So I'm looking right down at my knuckles here. And then I slowly start to open my heart open towards my left side. And I'm finding a twist here. So I'm kind of opening up into my torso here. And if you'd like, you can extend fingertips up towards the ceiling. You can always just keep this hand here at your hip or at your buttocks if you prefer it. So we're nice and strong into our right hand and right into our wrist. So even fingers and thumb is strong. We'll slowly start to make our way down, but we're going to kind of thread the needle. So I'm going to extend my fingertips back up, and we'll thread the needle. So we thread it through. It threads behind our right hand, reaching over towards the right side. I kind of shift my right hand out of the way just a little bit so that my head can shift down, so head and shoulder relaxes down. And then my hands and my arms are strong here in my pose. So that just allows me to get a little bit of support to my head and neck. So just a little strong into your hands and your arms. So a little grounded. It's more of a grounding feeling. We'll slowly start to get strong into your right hand, and we'll start to press into our right hand, lifting ourselves back up, coming back to your table once more. So left hand comes underneath of your face, Again, I'm just looking right down at my knuckles here. And then I'll slowly open my heart open towards my right side, so nice and open here. And if you feel good here, you'd like to extend fingertips up, you're welcome to it. But I want to feel stacked, so my left shoulder stacking my right shoulder over top, and then my wrist over top of that. So I don't want to be here. I want to keep my palm so it's open towards my right wall here. And then we'll find our thread the needle, so we'll thread it through. So we take our right hand and we bring it behind our left, reaching over towards our left side until our head and shoulder can come down. So I move my left hand just out of the way a little bit, and then I settle in here. So we find a little bit of strength into our arms, our fingers, our shoulder, so that we can be nice and strong here, just to give our head and neck some support. We'll start to get strong into our left hand. We'll slowly unthread your right hand, coming back to your table once more. So we can do, if you want to bring your toes in, you can bring sits bones down towards your heels and forehead down to your mat. And just allow your head and neck and whole body here to be heavy. So just relaxing down. We'll slowly start to inch our way back up. And let's use hands for support. We come back up. So we still have our knees wide. But I'm going to let my feet just kind of rest wherever they need to, so they don't have to be in anymore. I'm going to bring them out, but I'm not going to worry about them being in alignment with my knees. And then I'm just going to take my hips and make some circles here. So I'm just going to shift into some circular movements here. And this can be a big movement or it can be simple. If you need to take your knees in, I'm going to take my knees in just a little bit, just so that I make sure I'm not going to slide off of my mat. And if you feel like these full circular motions are too much, you can also just do one side at a time, where you kind of do a little C shape with the hips. And then maybe you do the right side a couple of times. And I would do like 2 or 3 each side and then switch off. But if you're okay with just circles here, just making these big circles nice and easy. And let's switch directions. So just pause and find that other opposite way and shift here. So you can kind of pause. If you find a spot that feels really good, maybe pause and rest there. That's always okay. Maybe there's just a little spot that needs an extra second of breath here, and that's perfect. If you kind of slide off your mat, just kind of shift back on. And then we'll start to find some stillness here. And then we'll bring our knees back in. So shift your knees back to about that hip width apart again. And then step your hands as far forward as you can reach, because we want to keep our knees and hips nice in alignment here. And then bring our forehead down. So this is true puppy pose. So this one, we have that nice straight spine. We get the full benefit of that full long length in our spine here. In this one, you choose, so you can extend your fingertips further forward and get a really good stretch underneath of the arms. But if that's too much for your head, neck, and shoulders, bend your elbows, walk your hands in a little bit closer until you feel you have the support that you need for your head and neck. And again, I'm resting my forehead down a little bit more up towards the top so it's closer to my hairline here. I know that might be a little different for everybody, but just so that we're not shifting here, that we're kind of keeping this full length of our spine. We'll slowly start to inch our way back, elbows back towards us, nice and slow. Hands for support here. And once we're back here, we'll find our way to sitting down onto our heels for just a moment. And we'll just pause here. So shoulders relax down. And we'll find, I'm going to use a block here, and I'm going to turn so that I'm facing forward for you, but you can stay just as you are. So I'm going to shift so that I have my blanket still supporting me underneath of my knees, and I have my block for support. So I'm going to take my block just between my knees. So if you see, it's just underneath of my sits bones, just between my feet, so that I'm sitting nice and upright, shoulders relax down. I'm just checking in here. We'll just lengthen arms up overhead. We'll exhale, we'll reach over towards our right side so we get nice and long here. Left side of our body. This inhale, we bring weight into our hand as we shift our way back up. Exhale, left side. We're just going to take these real slow. And this inhale, we make our way up. And we exhale, right side. And this inhale, we make our way up. And we exhale, left side. And we'll just continue. We'll do one more side each time. Nice and long. So keeping our belly muscles strong. We'll reach over towards our left side this last time here. And we'll make our way all the way up. And relax our shoulders down. We'll take our hands and interlace our fingers behind us and really draw the shoulders down. So you can choose how you'd like to practice this one. So you can just stay here and just kind of let the hands kind of be heavy down towards your buttocks and reaching down towards the earth. Or you can even kind of shift the hands a little bit side to side. So kind of open up in different places here. Meanwhile, staying up nice and tall. Then we'll relax our hands. We'll bring our hands back to the top of our thighs. And maybe palms up if you'd like. And just checking in here. Maybe closing your eyes. And just taking a moment just to check in with how you feel here and how that's different from when you first got here today on your mat. And taking full responsibility because you did this. You created this change. So thank your body for the work that it does. And thank yourself for taking this time to nourish your body. I thank you very much for joining me today. I always enjoy it. Thank you. And if you would like to follow up this practice with a final relaxation, I have a final relaxation video that kind of follows through with everything that's needed
and guides you through a 10-minute final relaxation. So if you find this is perfect and you need nothing more, that's perfect for your day today. Or if you'd like to add this on to another video that I have that perhaps is just not quite long enough and you wanted something a little bit more restorative today that's a little bit longer, please feel free to give me any comments that you'd like. If you really liked this video, I'd like to know. Any kind of feedback is helpful for me. That way I know what to do for you. So thank you so much. I always enjoy this time with you. Thank you.